It's time for the Fantasy Football Guys, giving you fantasy football knowledge that's occasionally useful. Here they are, Lyle Conkeel and Kevin Moore, the Fantasy Football Guys.
Yeah, we are the Fantasy Football Guys. I'm Kevin.
I'm Lyle.
And we are streaming live on YouTube, on our own YouTube channel. That would be the Fantasy Football Guys.
On YouTube.
On UTs, yeah, whatever. You can also check us out on SoundCloud, Stitcher, the iTunes podcast app, and various and other sundry places, including our own website at thefantasyfootballguys.com. And you can find a forum there, which is kind of a cool thing.
It is.
We've already started some off-season stuff. Mojo kicked back up the song thread.
The song thread? Yeah.
So
that's always popular in the off-season.
It is, yeah. So, by the way, we're going to be doing off-season shows this year.
Yeah, we're going to pop in.
We're going to come in every couple weeks, just talk about what's going on.
Yeah, it might be 15 minutes, who knows.
Yeah, but we'll be back. We're going to be in here all off-season, so...
Doing a lot of stuff.
You're going to be tired of us by then.
There's going to be some other exciting off-season news, too. So
coming up later on, Liz Loser from Yahoo Fantasy Sports will be by to talk about football and sleepers and cool stuff like that. Right. So let's look at the news real quick.
Well,
you want to talk about hockey?
About
talk about some hockey.
The Fantasy Hockey Guys, Tim and Steve doing their thing, recording another episode tonight. Be sure to check them out if you're into the sport of hockey or the religion of hockey.
Yeah, and we've been putting them on our stream to give people a taste of them. We're not going to do that. We did that last 3 weeks in a row,
3 weeks in a row, yeah.
So if you missed them, you can find them in all the places we are, SoundCloud, etc. And you can go and subscribe to them and listen to them
Twitter.
On your own.
Yeah.
Check us out on Twitter at TFFG.
At FH Guys is their Twitter.
Is it at FH Guys?
Mm-hmm. Fantasy Hockey Guys. Yep.
Fantasy Hockey Guys. Alrighty then. As we all know, the Buffalo Bills are going to be coming to Philadelphia.
This ought to be a fun
LaShawn
one.
McCoy is going to be back. Now, LaShawn says that he and Chip are not enemies, but Chip can't say SHIT to me.
Yeah,
whatever that means. Whereas Chip Kelly says, "Hey, I'm going to shake LaShawn's hand."
Yeah, well, I think McCoy's a little bit bitter, and rightfully so. And you know what? The fans are a bit bitter about it too, because Kiko came in, he had a good play against Atlanta, got hurt, and since he's been back, he looks like he's just lost.
He's not been the playmaker we expected.
He's not the legend of Kiko Alonso. So,
well, we know he's a good player, so hopefully he can get some sort of mojo back.
I hope so, but we'll see.
Yeah. Apparently, Johnny Manziel on a short leash. Mike Pettin says so, so I guess he throws a couple of picks. He's out of there. They need to put the kid in and just leave him there.
They do. This is ridiculous. What are they doing with the guy? He was demoted to third string. They were mad about a club. You had to talk about him becoming a cowboy. You know what I mean?
Which is ridiculous.
It is. And now, he's the starter now, and but he's on a short leash. All right, you know what? Let the kid play some football.
I think this is interesting. Des Bryant is lobbying the NFL to help the NFL clarify what a catch is.
You know what? It is interesting because I'm confused at times about what a catch is.
Oh, yeah.
Because they introduced all these weird rules after that one Calvin Johnson non-touchdown.
Right. You have to complete the hold the ball through what process or something.
Yeah.
When do you become a runner? And it's very confusing, and it's very subjective. The ref at the time right there is the guy who makes the call, and one guy his interpretation can vary from the next guy.
It can. And it sort of makes me crazy because when it's close, when I see a guy catch a ball, take 2 steps, hit the ground, and the ball starts moving, I don't know whether he caught it or not. Is it a fumble if it pops out at that point?
Sometimes, depending on who's looking at it.
If a guy has the ball in his hand, turns, takes 2 steps, and then, falls down and drops the ball, he caught it.
Well, you look at the Amendola non-catch the other day.
Yeah.
He secured the ball, turned, and bobbled it a little bit, but was running with the ball.
Right. And then dropped it.
No catch.
No
because
catch.
The ball was still moving. He hasn't secured it yet.
I just don't
But he had become a runner while bobbling it, so...
Yeah.
It's beyond us to figure out what the right thing to do is.
I just think it's silly.
It is silly.
What are we doing?
But what are you going to do? So I was hoping that Liz would have called by now.
Well, she will call when she's good and ready, I think.
What we can do, though, is say, as much as we try to escape it, Lyle, The holidays seem to sneak up on us every year.
Fortunately, the guys at Foot Cardigan have you and your favorite people's feet covered.
They do. For as long as you want, Foot Cardigan will deliver an amazing pair of socks to your loved one's mailbox every month.
Wait, is this real life?
Yes, it is. It actually is. Get a sock subscription to Foot Cardigan is literally like Christmas in your mailbox every month. Just let that sink in.
If you buy your loved ones a sock subscription to Foot Cardigan, Santa's fat ass will get a serious workout because he'll be delivering amazing socks to your favorite person's mailbox every month.
You know, the gift that one person gets every Christmas and everybody's jealous about that at the holiday get-together? Well, that's Foot Cardigan. You can be that guy.
Month to month or 3, 6, 9, or even 12-month prepaid subscriptions are available.
Get 10% off any Foot Cardigan subscription by going to footcardigan.com and entering promo code FANTASY during checkout.
And your favorite person will be reminded how amazing you are every single month.
The gift that keeps on giving until it stops.
Footcardigan.com, promo code FANTASY.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Well done, Kevin. Kevin started, just for you guys who don't know, Kevin started reading my lines.
Yeah.
He read 2 of them, and then we had to improvise, and I had to read all of Kevin's lines.
Well, it wasn't improvising. You just, throw it back
A
and
little
forth.
bit of an improvisation.
Yeah. Okay, let's run to the games real quick. We have a lot to get to and some questions also, your emails and your forum posts. So it's the Vikings and the Cardinals with the Thursday night tilt. Really, when it comes to the Vikings, it's all about Adrian Peterson for me. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater is not getting it done. Stephon Diggs has cooled down. Maybe Kyle Rudolph. If you lost Gronk, and now I see that Chandler's questionable with the knee. Rudolph is a guy who's got 17 balls over the last 4 games, has a TD in there. You could do a lot worse than that guy. Mm-hmm. From the Cardinals side, there's a lot to love here. Carson Palmer, dude's averaging 322 over his last 9 TDs in there. He's also ran for one. Yeah, he ran for one. So that's kind of a bonus Carson Palmer deal. The running backs, David Johnson had a decent showing in his first start the other day, last weekend. And also Kerwin Williams, he had a decent showing as well. 6 carries for 59 yards. He also scored. I'm not saying he's a guy you might want to start, but he's certainly a guy in a dynasty league you want to grab now and park him at the end of your bench.
Right.
David Johnson, I would definitely start him. Not the best matchup in the world. 13.5 points per game given up by the Minnesota Vikings to fantasy running backs, but he's going to be getting the lion's share or the Cardinal share of the carries. Yeah, wide receivers. A lot of these guys are hurting.
So the thing is, they're all questionable right now, but
they are.
But you can't sit them, dude.
If they're playing, you got to play them. Fitzgerald, Floyd, and Brown.
You got to play them all. We sat John Brown a few times last week, which we had decent logic in order to do that. But these guys, they're just too good to sit. He didn't score, but he had 113 yards, so I think you have to play him. And dude, if one of those guys is out, I might even roll J.J. Nelson
or Jerron Brown.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a passing offense there. So feel free to just plug in any Cardinals receiver that you have.
Right. Bills at Eagles, and Tyrod Taylor comes in against this 30th ranked Eagles defense versus quarterback, giving up just over 19 points a game. I would definitely start him. I know they had a good outing against Tom Brady. That's a beat up offense there. This Bills offense is rolling. Tyrod is a very mobile quarterback. I would certainly play him in this matchup. Shady McCoy is another guy that you're definitely going to play this week. Not that you had a question to, but people tend to play big in their old stadiums. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
Quite literally.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a huge game.
Yeah.
Williams is still questionable with that shoulder. If he somehow miracle manages to play in this one, I would start him as well, even though it's a bad matchup for running backs. Wide receivers, really not much to speak of other than Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, it's Sammy.
Who's a guy you got to play, but don't be surprised if Robert Woods has a huge game. Eagles tend to give up some points to
the second guy.
Yeah, they tend to do that, so I might roll him. Charles Clay caught a touchdown last week, but he's probably not your best option at tight end, so I would go ahead and fade him. From the Eagles side, man, there's not a lot to like here. Bradford plays okay at times, but I don't think you can play him even in a decent matchup. DeMarco Murray's got a good matchup, but is he even going to be on the field?
Well, if you talk to the owner and complain about your playing time after a win like that, a good team win, hey, we're tied for first, and he's going to complain about playing time?
Yeah.
He may never see the field again.
Well, maybe he might not, but I'll tell you what, man, I don't know why they bother. I mean, just give the ball to Sproles and forget about it.
And Matthews always plays well when he's in.
He does when he's in. He's still questionable with that concussion. So
I saw that he was practicing full pads, so he may be in.
He may be in. So, but I can't recommend any of them really. Same thing goes for the wide receivers. Jordan Matthews has a couple TDs in his last 4, but I can't recommend him. Really, only if you're desperate would you go for one of the tight ends because they may catch a touchdown. Ertz or Selleck probably equally as valuable in a fantasy format, but I would avoid all Eagles really at this point.
The consistency is not there, and at this point, you're trying to win playoff games, Jack.
Right.
Seahawks, Ravens, Russell Wilson all of a sudden looks like an NFL quarterback that throws touchdown passes and such.
He had a pretty good game last week.
He's had 2 pretty good games in a row. Last 4, actually, averaging 280 with 12 TDs in that span, only 1 pick. He also has run for $147 over that span and has a touchdown there as well. Tasty matchup against the Ravens. They're 25th ranked, 18 points plus per game to fantasy quarterbacks, and Russell Wilson is one of those. Fat thumbs up for Russell Wilson. Definitely got to do that. I don't know what the change is. I don't know if it's that Marshawn's out. Rawls he's actually averaging over 100 yards over his last 4 with 3 TDs as well. So it's not like they've abandoned the running game. It's just all of a sudden the passing game is awakened.
It's just been wide open, and it's all been Doug Baldwin too. I mean,
it has.
This is a guy I think you have to start now.
Yeah,
5 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
Yeah, it's 2 last week, 3 the week before.
Brilliant daily fantasy play.
And before that, 2 weeks before that, he had a touchdown as well. So we're talking 6 touchdowns in 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm going to play Doug Baldwin. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It could be Jermaine Kearse as well. Tyler Lockett's actually worth a play at this point. He's becoming more a part of the offense. 90 yards on 7 catches last week. Now, had a couple touchdowns on November 22nd against Frisco. He's being targeted a little bit more, and he's gotten more catches. So I would keep an eye on him. Maybe not for a wide receiver 2 or 3, but maybe a flex if you have a spot. He's a guy you might want to look at. That's pretty much it from the Seahawks side. From the Ravens side, Schaub is questionable with his shoulder, so they're looking at the pickle. Maybe he's going to start. Either way, not a good idea. Buck Allen, though, dude. Yeah. We weren't really, we recommended him in a couple cases situationally last week, but the dude popped off 63 yards on the ground on 17 carries, but 12 catches for $107 and a touchdown.
And this might merit him an automatic start in this matchup. Because he's so versatile. It's a terrible matchup for running backs, but he's so versatile that he definitely merits consideration.
As a receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be in the running back spot, but in a PPR, good God.
Yeah.
In a DraftKings league, yeah. I'm going to play him, definitely. Kamar Aiken, he's got 63 yards average over the last 4 games on a couple TDs in there. The
thing is, they don't have anybody else. So in 3 out of the last 4 games, he's double-digit targets, man. And the one that he wasn't, he was 8 targets. So they're throwing at him.
Well, they kind of have to, like you said. But you're talking about a 3rd-string quarterback.
Yep.
With.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying if there is a guy, he's probably it.
Not really feeling that. Crockett Gilmore's back makes him questionable. So I would look for a better option elsewhere.
Right, 49ers and Browns. And I hear Joe Montana's talking up Blaine Gabbert. I'll tell you what, man, kid's got some wheels, too.
Yeah, he hasn't been averaging a whole lot, but they're playing a lot better with him than they did with Cap.
He's got 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. And he's averaging 259 yards a game in the last 3. We're not going to play him, even in this really good matchup. But, definitely keep an eye on the guy. Carlos Hyde, well, in a dynasty format, I picked him up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe Montana said, don't let him go. Carlos Hyde's still questionable with that foot. And it's a shame because it's a really good matchup for running backs. 27th ranked defense are the Browns, giving up 18.3 points per game. So Sean Drawn, even though he's been sort of meh, averaged 2.8 last week against Chicago, did score a touchdown, might merit a squinty start in this matchup here. The receivers I really can't recommend, although in PPR formats, Bolden has actually picked back up.
A little bit.
So maybe he's a WR3 or a really stretch play at
13 targets last week.
Yeah, really stretch play in a PPR format. Vance McDonald we were very excited about, but concussion and he got beat up, so really can't recommend the tight ends. From the Browns side, Manziel in his short leash, you're not going to play him. But it's interesting because I think it ups the value.
He might be worth a pickup in a dynasty league, just as a goof.
He definitely is.
Yeah. Because you never know, he might be Dallas's next quarterback.
You never know. That is very true. Duke Johnson is an interesting fellow because he's been getting a lot of work in the receiving game, not so much running the football. So in a PPR format, he might be a desperation play. Otherwise, I don't think I can recommend him. Would love to see the kid, get some more work, but just
I'd actually like to see him get some, carries.
Some carries. That'd be interesting. The receivers, really, Travis Benjamin is your guy. And Manziel tends to look for him. He's probable with that shoulder, so he's going to play. He's really the only person I can recommend other than Gary Barnidge, and he's got an ankle right now, Kevin, so not looking good for him.
Dude, in a PPR, I might take a look at Hartline because the last 3 games,
he does catch a lot of passes.
8 and 6 receptions and over 70 yards in each of the last 3.
In each of those last 3.
So wide receiver 3 or a flex in a PPR, I'd give him a look.
Maybe. Yeah, hopefully you got a better option than that.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, if you're down to Brian Hartline, you're probably not playing for a whole lot this weekend.
Right.
I mean, some losers bracket picks.
I feel that.
Lions, Rams, Matty Stafford. He's actually been playing.
Well, 5 TDs against the Eagles
good.
helps.
It does, and since then he had 2 touchdowns against Green Bay, and that was good. It's the Lions actually had a shot in that game.
They had a great shot.
They had a great shot until knock it down. It's a Hail Mary. You knock it down.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? You're trying to get the.
I'm just fidgeting with my yeah. You like my
no
the little Salvador Dali thing going on here?
Well, you have to grow that a little
Raleigh
more.
fingers.
A little bit.
Yeah,
all right, so Matty Stafford. Let's see what his matchup looks like this week. Not great against this Rams team, but the Rams defense is pretty good. But sometimes you got to roll through that. He's got the weapons. He's got Riddick out of the backfield. He's got Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate's coming on. So if Matty Stafford got you to these playoffs, I wouldn't feel bad about playing him, even though the matchup is not great. And frankly, St. Louis's rating has continued to slide from 1 now down to 7, so they're getting lit up a little bit. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Matty Stafford, a tentative thumbs up there. Calvin Johnson, say what you want about he's not consistent, whatever. You got to play CJ. No matter what you do.
Yep.
He's a definite go, especially in the playoffs. Let's see, Golden Tate, 63 yards, had a touchdown last week.
Can I answer that, dude?
Yeah, I'm going to grab this.
It's a little annoying.
You're a little annoying. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So
we got this little show here we're doing.
Yeah. Just talking some football.
We're talking football and, talking beer. Lyle's twisting his mustache up.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah. Just fidgeting.
Liz Loser from Yahoo Fantasy Sports, ladies and gentlemen. Say hi to the people, Liz.
Hello, people. It's so good to be back in the friendly confines of Delaware, even if virtually.
Right. It is friendly here.
Are you going to be traveling during the holidays, Liz?
Oh, hell no. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, those days are over.
Yeah. It's a bummer, though.
Yeah, because remember last year we had great fun, and Lyle had some parental duties to take care of.
I was home alone with my 1 million kids.
Yeah, I come in the summertime. That's when I come now. But yeah, Lyle, last time you were pulling the weight at the homestead, and
it's a bummer.
Actually, Kevin, I never told you. We went out, and then I got I started to get really cold while we were together, like just shivery, and I thought maybe because it was raining and the air conditioning was on, it just didn't agree with me. And then we got home and I had 103-degree fever and had the flu for the next 2 days.
That stinks.
Whoa. That sucks, man.
Hopefully it had nothing to do with my influence because, you leave a visit with me and next thing you know you're ill.
I mean, I feel that way pretty much every time I leave the house. So.
I don't think I ever told you, but it was a big thing because my in-laws were super mad because I wouldn't get out of the hot shower, but I was so cold that I wanted the hotness off me, and I could hear them being mad about the water bill, and I was like, I don't care.
Wow.
I'm sorry you got sick.
Yeah, that sucks.
I feel bad. Even though it's not my fault, I still feel bad.
And it was 6 months ago. But anyway,
yes,
do you guys want to talk some what we used to call extras and now just flat out call sleepers because we're not creative anymore?
Absolutely, Liz. I
Sure.
can't wait. I'm super excited about that.
Okay, so Devontae Parker, glad that he paid off last week for everybody. I think we were in agreement. And Alex Smith, I think we talked about him. He was a top 12 QB in fantasy. That's for back-to-back weeks now that he's produced. So I felt good about those pretty deep picks. I don't remember who else. But I love now that Devontae Parker is on everybody's sleeper weeks in week 14, and I was like, boom, 1 week ahead. Sean Drone, I think we talked about too, and he's like now a sleeper darling heading into this week. But if you listen to the Fantasy Football Guys podcast, you got that info a week earlier than everybody else.
You damn Skippy.
Yeah.
So let's try to do that same thing this week. The first guy I'm going to talk about is another 49er. It's Anquan Bolden. He is, knock on wood, healthy now, which sort of took him out of the whole midpoint of the season. He was out, but he didn't produce very much against Chicago in week 13, but he has had double-digit targets in back-to-back weeks, and he has an awesome matchup at Cleveland. And what do you know? Blaine Gabbert ain't been that bad.
Yeah.
In fact, his 44-yard rushing touchdown was the nail in the coffin for my Bears. So,
yeah, I was shocked that kid had wheels.
That was the second best quarterback play of the week.
Yeah, I know.
The Brady pass and catch, of course, was the number one.
Right. Yeah.
So I think Bolden, he's owned in 60% of Yahoo leagues. I don't know if I would love him in DFS because his ceiling isn't particularly high, but he's a nice floor guy that you might want to consider if you're weighing your boom or bust strategy in the first week of the playoffs. A nice ad that I think could produce, especially given the matchup and given the target. At quarterback, I want to give you another quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Tennessee. He is coming off of an awesome game. I think in week 13 he had his highest passing yards since week 15 of the 2013 season.
Wow.
But he was slinging it. That thumb injury, totally behind him now. The line looks a little bit better. And he's got an awesome matchup against Tennessee. I know the Titans have a pass rush, but their secondary is all kinds of banged up, and they gave up a boatload of yards to Blake Bortles, who I don't think, is some sort of genius under center in week 13. So I think now that he's clicking, he seems really nice simpatico with both Marshall and Decker. Bilal Powell was doing things out of the backfield, which doesn't please Ivory owners, obviously, but does, I think, improve Fitzpatrick's value. So he's another guy, super cheap in DFS. He's actually someone that I have at the top of my daily roster because he's helping you save a lot of money and spend in other places. Who else do I want to talk about?
Well, plus the thing about Fitz is he went down to the micro beard now.
Yeah, he trimmed it down.
I don't know if that's like maybe, taking some weight off of him. He's able to go faster. I don't know.
Completely possible. And, I heard some analyst saying that, people sat Drew Brees last week because he was facing Carolina, and they put in Ryan Fitzpatrick instead. Well, you know what? Ryan Fitzpatrick outproduced Drew Brees last week.
He sure did.
Maybe it wasn't the dumbest idea. So I think that, again, in your fantasy playoffs, I'm assuming you have a better starter under center in a season-long league that got you to the first week of the playoffs, so maybe he's not a pick for that. But in daily, his price tag is so low that you can't stop thinking about him. I can't stop thinking about him and that beard. Oh, and it's also worth noting that I think the last time he played the Titans in 2014, granted a different squad, he had a 6-touchdown game on them.
Wow.
Nice.
So,
that's a deep nugget.
A nice additional extra stat, yeah. So I'm going to do two more because this is, I think, what I'm known for on your show, super deep, out-of-nowhere sleepers. It's a guy I've talked about before, Nick Williams in Atlanta. When I talked about him, he got hurt in practice, and I thought that he might be able to produce when Leonard Hankerson was out. Hankerson has now been placed on IR, so he's done for the season. Jacob Tamme, when Nick Williams, which is the receiver I'm talking about right now and mentioned previously, was hurt, it was Jacob Tamme who sort of owned that short to intermediate passing game for Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan, I think his average depth of target is really low. He's not chucking the ball to Julio Jones deep, which seems crazy because that's the benefit of having Julio Jones, but he's not doing that. So Nick Williams, this slot receiver, this plucky little slot receiver is being used in scoring situations, and he has scored in back-to-back weeks against Minnesota and at Tampa Bay in Week 13. He does have Carolina, which is obviously a really tough matchup, but where is the one place that Carolina is kind of weak? It's against the slot. That's where Williams is going to make his money, so he's not going to see a ton of targets. He only had 2 last week, but he is going to see him in the end zone. So I think that, there's talk about maybe trying to get Julio into the slot so that he can avoid Norman. Norman's going to trail Julio all over the field.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not saying you bench Julio, but I wouldn't be surprised if Williams ends up with the TD this week. I only think Matt Ryan throws one, and I think it's to Nick Williams.
Wow.
Nice.
And then if we're going to go even deeper than that.
Go deeper, Liz.
Okay. Here we go. This is like the Hail Mary. Terrell Pryor, baby, in Cleveland.
Wow.
Wow, that is a Hail Mary. I don't hate it, though. That's interesting, yeah.
It's not crazy. Travis Benjamin didn't practice today with a shoulder injury. We know about his rapport with Johnny Manziel, who is now under center officially for the Browns. But if he's less than 100% or even doesn't play, what are they going to do? Well, Brian Hartline has a groin injury, and he's not going to see the end zone. He's a PPR guy. Like, he's a chain mover. Terrell Pryor has experience with this team. He was re-signed. I'm assuming the coaching staff knows something that they're not necessarily telling us. He's their Hail Mary because they all want to save their jobs. I'm not sure week 14 is the week. I usually like to give a guy like a little bit of time before he acclimates, or in order to acclimate. But I think that Pryor, he's been working out and he has experience with this playbook. So to me, that's not the craziest play, but that is the super, super deep. I'm just rolling it out there.
That is a mega dice roll, though. I love it, though.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was excited about the position change for him, and all the news coming out of camp and stuff. So yeah, that would be neat to see what happens.
He's a physical specimen. He is a physical specimen.
He is definitely an athlete.
Nice. So we got Anquan Bolden, Blaine Gabbert, right? Fitz, Nick Williams, and Terrell Pryor.
Wow.
Well, Anquan Bolden fits Nick Williams and Terrell Pryor. I'm not floating Blaine Gabbert out there. Even though the matchup is good.
The Blaine Gabbert thing was more of a Anquan Bolden thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Been looking for him, yeah.
Well, I think that, my problem with picking any receiver in the San Francisco-Cleveland game is that I think they're going to rely so heavily on the run, so it's going to be another big Sean Drawn outing. Yeah. But I also think when you look at the targets that Bolden is seeing, it's hard to discount him.
Yep. I totally agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I just mentioned that previously, him being back, being healthy. In a PPR, you sort of have to think about him now. So if you have him on your roster, you definitely have to. You can't just automatically dismiss him.
That's right. We don't dismiss people. Not the right ones, at least.
No,
we don't. By the way, looking at the Dynasty League, you're number 2 in the league.
Wow.
Liz?
I'm number 1, I believe.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, get it right, Kevin.
Yeah, I took an L last week and missed the playoffs.
That's a bummer.
I am not happy.
Yeah, I'm still near the bottom. I'm still rebuilding, Kevin.
Yeah, me too. I traded away a lot of guys last year. Just the fact that I almost made the playoffs made me happy. So,
yeah, that's cool.
Anyway,
I mentioned on X's and Y's, my other podcast this morning, that was probably the most gratifying first place regular season finish that I have of any of my leagues, because it was the first Dynasty team I ever played in, and I inherited a real S-box from you guys.
Yeah.
It was a hot
Matt
mess.
Hasselbeck.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It was Matt Hasselbeck and Matt Schaub as my 2 signal callers. And I was like, what do I do with this? And now I have this first place juggernaut that I'm sure will fall apart just in time for a playoff run.
Well, that league is particularly difficult. It's a 14-team Dynasty League where we keep 10. I think we keep 10 players.
Up to 10, yeah.
Up to 10 every year. And it's just brutal.
And the waiver wire is picked clean.
I picked up Gabbert.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anybody to pick up that week.
I was actually really happy to get Alex Smith off the wire for this last week.
Right.
I was like, woohoo, Alex Smith.
Actually, what's funny is I actually dropped Alex. Yeah, I had him. I drafted him. And dropped him at one point mid-season. But yeah, that league is by far the most difficult league I play in. Because I went to pick up Spencer Ware one week, and he had been picked up 3 weeks prior to that when he had a carry for 2 yards.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody had already had him.
I drafted Matt Jones in that league.
Wow.
Full-on drafted him in our first beginning of the season draft, because that's how those are your options.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kevin had the number 1 and number 2 picks, and he picked Gordon and Gurley.
Yeah, that looked pretty good.
Well, I
halfway through the season,
you nailed Gurley.
Yeah.
Gordon's probably a project. But
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
Gordon's a product of the offensive line. I mean, he's a product of that offensive line.
Probably.
They're shuffling, and they're all sorts of banged up, and I think there's obviously going to be some personnel changes in San Diego. Heck, they might even move up to Los Angeles. So for a dynasty pick, I don't think that was a bad move. It just didn't help you win.
Well, in hindsight, I would have rather had Cooper.
Yeah,
but,
I got Amari.
Yeah.
I got Amari and Yeldon. I had the 4 and 5 picks. I got Amari and Yeldon. Yeah. So,
thank you for stopping by, Liz. We certainly appreciate switching the time. My kid was at a Christmas concert. I had to stay to the end. I had to stay to the end. So anyway,
I understand. This actually worked out better for me. So thank you,
Perfect.
and hope you guys all win your first round of your playoffs and make it to the semis.
Well, I have a bye in my one league.
oh, lucky duck.
Yeah,
I have a bye in like 2 of my leagues, but whatever. We're not,
All right.
pouting.
Yeah, somebody at this table here didn't make those playoffs.
I missed the
saying.
playoffs in every league this year.
Yeah, he did.
Oh God, Lyle.
Yeah, and in Dynasty League, I'm 13th out of 14th right now.
Ooh, that's bad.
And I'm not like screwing the pooch, man. I'm putting my best foot forward. I just suck.
That's a tough league.
Yeah, but sometimes the chips fall that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
They do. Yeah. Do appreciate it, Liz. Love having you.
Awesome. Have a great week, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Liz.
Bye.
Liz Loser from Yahoo Fantasy Sports.
Kevin, I do believe you were talking Lions-Rams.
I was talking Lions-Rams. I just basically finished up on the Lions. Let's talk about the Rams.
Do we have to?
We kind of do. We were just talking about Todd Gurley. There was a time, and that time wasn't too long ago, where he was just an automatic got to start him, because he ripped off 400+ yard games and 3 touchdowns over a 4-week span, and since then he hasn't even been close.
With Austin Davis at the helm, dude. It's just
Who?
The team has deteriorated.
You mean Case Keenum?
No, Austin Davis is the starter, right?
No, he's with Cleveland.
What am I talking about?
I don't know. What the hell are you?
I don't know what I'm talking about. What?
Right. See, it's Nick Foles now. See, Nick was in there,
Nick
and then
was
Case
in there, and
Keenum
Case
came in.
Keenum
He got
came in.
hurt, and then
Yeah,
Nick Foles
I'm
was
thinking
there.
about the other team that's shuffling quarterbacks around.
You mean the other lousy team? Right. Coach is probably going to get fired.
Yes.
That one.
Sorry, my bad.
Todd Gurley at this point, it's not a bad matchup against the Lions, but I'd look elsewhere. And he may go off this week, but he hasn't gone off for a nice gain. Over 100 yards in 6 weeks. It'll be 6 weeks this week. He had 41 yards on 9 carries last week, 19 yards on 9 carries a week before that.
But can you sit him?
Depending on who else you have.
Well, I don't think you can sit him.
I think you can sit him depending on who else you have.
All right.
Now obviously you're not going to sit him for, Duke Johnson.
Right.
But, I think if it's a choice between him and Langford, obviously you're going to play Langford. Just saying.
Well,
as far as the receivers go, and you can disagree, and that's fine. It's just he hasn't been producing.
Okay.
I'm looking for guys who put numbers out, man. I want to win playoff games. And that pretty much wraps up the Rams, because the receivers, I have no trust there either.
Oh man, yeah. Austin is interesting, but he runs the ball better than he catches it. It seems like, and he hasn't even been doing that much. So, Titans taking on the Jets in the battle of quarterback juggernauts. All of a sudden, Mariota has played really well of late. Tough matchup for him, but it's hard to sit a guy who's thrown for 3 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row and ran for one last week. A really nice one, dude. I don't know. He ran for $112. He had an 87-yard run. That kid's got wheels too. So, but I think, again, like Liz said, hopefully your playoff hopes don't rest on the shoulders of Marcus Mariota.
Unless you're in a 2-quarterback league and you plug him in, in the second slot.
Well, I have done that.
Yes, I know.
And I lost in that league. Antonio Andrews continues to pretty much be the guy. He scored last week, but he's producing at a mediocre level, and this is a terrible matchup for him. So I think it's a pine for him this week. The receivers, really not much to like here, despite the production out of Mariota.
DGB, maybe.
Dorial Green-Beckham is the one guy I was going to talk about. He's sort of been coming up as of late, and last week he had a huge game. He's been more involved in the offense. It's still a really, really risky proposition. I mean, I don't
Good
think I
matchup.
can. Yeah, I don't think I can really recommend him
Real
unless
tasty
you're
matchup.
real desperate. Delaney Walker, on the other hand, is a guy that you have to play. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. It's a terrible matchup for him, but 25 catches over his last 4 games, averaging 86 yards a game in that span, has a TD. You got to play him. From the Jets side, like Liz said, I also love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Guy's got 10 touchdowns in his last 4 games. One of them on the ground, but dude, he's playing extremely well. He's over 100 quarterback rating 2 weeks in a row. Threw for 390 against the Giants, dude.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So just love that matchup. And with him, you're going to play Chris Ivory, obviously, although Liz did mention Bilal Powell, who in a PPR, I think, you have to consider based on what he did last week alone, 13 targets. Now, the thing is, this would be a daily fantasy play, right? It wouldn't be somebody that you're going to start in your regular league because who knows how much they might have just seen something with the Giants and wanted to work Powell in
just
at
that
a
game
mismatch,
plan.
right? But the guy did have 91 yards through the air and a TD last week on 13 targets. He had 8 catches. In daily fantasy, maybe you roll the dice on him, although the matchup is not very good. Receivers, you're playing Marshall and Decker. No question about that. They're both awesome. I really would probably pine everybody else.
Indeed. Steelers-Bengals. This could be the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
It might be.
Ben Roethlisberger on half a leg is all of a sudden averaging 400 yards per game over his last 3. Has 8 TDs in there. He actually ran the other day. I was like, don't do it, Ben. Don't run. But obviously, it's a lousy matchup. The Bengals play good against fantasy quarterbacks, only allowing about 13 points. But, Ben's one of those guys with the weapons that he has. He's going to play right through that matchup. I don't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
D. Will, arguably the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lyle?
I mean, he's best running back in the NFL.
Dude, buck 34 and 26 last week. Didn't get in the end zone. He doesn't get in the end zone much, but he's going to get you a ton of yards more than likely. And he's a guy that you really can't sit. It's not a matter of.
It makes me wonder how good. Oh man, now I'm gonna. I forgot his name. Oh, the other
Bell.
Yes, makes me wonder how good Bell really is. Or if that offensive line's just outstanding.
Well, I think he's really good because he really contributes in the passing game.
That's
as
true.
Well.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the offensive line has something to do with it, but D. Will also a really good running back. So, and he also contributes through the air as well, just not as much as Bell does. D. Will obviously a start. Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant. If you got him, you got to play him. And you know what? Marcus Wheaton is a guy that I'm going to look at for flex play. If you got him,
scored 2 weeks in a row.
Scored 2 weeks in a row.
He had the one huge game, but I don't know, man. I just don't trust him.
Well, I don't trust any of these guys, but if you're looking for,
I trust Antonio Brown.
Oh, yeah, I trust him somewhat. But here's the thing. Marcus Wheaton is a guy I might look for as a wide receiver 3 or a flex.
Okay.
In that offense, I don't mind it. Heath Miller has the ribs, and you probably have a better option anyway. From the Bengals side, Dalton averaging 241 a game and 7 TDs over his last 4. There was a point there. He's kind of up and down this year. I think of late he's been relatively up. 2 TDs last week, no picks, 3 TDs on 1 pick the week before. He's not throwing for a ton of yards, but he's relatively consistent, and in the playoffs, that can be a damn good thing. Jeremy Hill. It's easy to hate on this guy, but he had 98 yards last week and a touchdown, 86 the week before that. He doesn't really get involved in the passing game, but they are committed to giving him the rock, which in the playoffs is a good thing. And coming up against this number 2 ranked Steelers defense, you may want to look elsewhere. They're going to give him the ball a lot, though.
Yes.
So I would. Is he worth at least a flex? I would say yes. Gio Bernard. It seems to me that these guys can't have both of them have a good game at the same time.
They don't, and oddly enough, it was Gio earlier in the year. Now it seems like Hill's picking up steam. So it's a very confusing backfield.
It is, and this week I would take Hill and leave Bernard on the bench. A.J. Green is an obvious start. Marvin Jones, as soon as you say, we can probably sit Marvin Jones this week. Yeah, what does the dude do? He doesn't catch a bunch, catches 5 for 55 and a touchdown. Pretty good flex numbers, and I would put him in that category as well. The matchup is pretty good. Almost 25 points a game are given up by the Steelers, so these receivers look pretty good. Tyler Eifert, questionable, but I heard he was full pad practice today, so it would be great if he could come back from that stinger. If he plays, obviously you play him.
Yeah. It's interesting because he's so freaking good that, like, he's, you know what I mean? He's a guy that, like, when he comes in, it's a game changer. So you kind of have to.
And the game plan for,
like, even if he's beat up, like, you kind of have to play him anyway. You know, so if he's on the field, he's starting.
Well, you look at all these guys. You know, if you're playing football, meaningful football in December, everybody's beat up.
Yeah. Speaking of being beat up, the Indianapolis Colts come into town. Matt Hasselbeck is now questionable with that neck, and of course, you know, our man. I guess he's the new Beard, right, Kevin?
Who, Hasselbeck?
No.
Luck.
Andrew Luck. I guess
I heard he was running in
the
practice.
Neckbeard. He was. He's sprinting, but he's still listed as out. Hasselbeck's listed as questionable, and they don't have another quarterback on the roster.
They have Charlie Whitehurst.
Right, but he's not listed in their depth chart yet. He's not. Because I pulled these from the depth chart, and I have Luck commented out right now because he's out. So there's nobody else on there right now. So if it's going to be, that just shows you how bad Whitehurst is. The team didn't even add him to their website yet. So this is
They're probably hoping they don't have to use it.
Well, I'm sure they are. So this is a really bad situation for obvious reasons. Frankie Gore, you know, he's an average flex type of guy. That's all he is. I mean, he's getting 34 yards a game on the ground. He does catch a few passes here and there. You know, you're looking at 60, 70 yards, a couple passes, maybe a touchdown. He's a flex at best. The receivers are really good. Hilton's good. Moncrief is good. We know that Andre Johnson can be dominant at times. But with Whitehurst there, I mean, they're not playing that well with Hasselbeck. They weren't playing that well with Luck.
Yeah.
You bring in...
What kind of juice is Charlie Whitehurst going to bring?
Yeah, I just can't recommend any of them. And the tight ends they're both good too, but they're not catching a lot of passes. This is a great matchup for them, but I can't recommend them either.
Right.
From the Jaguars side, Blake Bortles is, I disagree with Liz. I think Bortles is a pretty damn good quarterback, man.
And only going to get better.
Threw 5 touchdowns last week. God.
You know what, having Robinson and Hearns doesn't hurt.
Well, I mean, Hearns was out last week,
right.
but Robinson caught 3 touchdowns. I mean,
dude,
they just can't cover him. So you're going to play Bortles, you're going to play Robinson, you're going to play Hearns, obviously. He's probable with the concussion now. Yeldon's a guy that's a little bit confusing too, but he's involved enough in the game plan that I think you have to play him.
Especially in a PPR.
Catches quite a few passes, quite a few yards through the air, runs the rock double-digit times. Only once all year he didn't do that. He's only got 2 TDs on the year, but he's involved enough that he's flexy. You can put it that way.
He is.
And dude, Turquoise Julius. Is a guy who scored 3 weeks in a row now. I think you got to play him.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's relevant.
Well, I mean, he was unhealthy, and then kind of came in trying to fit in with the offense. But now I think they got things rolling, and he's going to be a big part of it.
Agreed. Chargers, Chiefs, Phillip Rivers. Yeah, he had a stinker of a game last week. We know it. He only had 200 yards, had a pick, no touchdowns. It was Denver.
We expected it. Yeah.
Right, but before that, the guy was he was at 300 or close. He had a $178 against KC.
That was a bad
but he
game.
did have 4 touchdowns against Jacksonville. So yeah, nothing's wrong with Phillip Rivers. If you got him, I would continue to play him. Middling matchup against these Chiefs. I mean, they are the number 9, fantasy defense against quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers is a guy I would continue to play. The bad news for him, though, and the rest of the team is that, the receivers are banged up. Stevie Johnson's questionable with a groin. Inman was carted off the field with his neck. I don't know, he's questionable. Yeah. Not sure what his situation is going to be. Malcolm Floyd is around, but he's coming off of injury. He's not doing all that well of late either. So you look at the running backs. We talked about Melvin Gordon. 51 yards a game in his last 3. Catches a pass here and there, but it's not enough to boost his fantasy numbers. Woodhead, has been a fantasy PPR beast, but he's kind of cooled off in that regard as well. So, Stevie Johnson, if he plays, is flex worthy at least. Inman, not so much. Malcolm Floyd, probably the same situation. Looking at a flex there. Antonio Gates, if obviously he's going to be a guy you want to play. Doesn't get a whole lot of yards, but he does catch multiple touchdown games occasionally. He's averaging 36 yards.
That's not great.
Not great. You probably have a better option, but if you're looking to catch lightning in a bottle, he's a guy that can get it for you. So from the Chiefs side, not sure about these guys either. Alex Smith, steady, nothing spectacular, but his last 4 games, 5 TDs and no picks.
Yeah.
Ran a TD in.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he does. He's a great game manager.
He's not going to kill you with picks, and he's not going to kill you with fumbles. He's going to get you around 220, 250 yards, couple TDs, no picks. You know what? I'll take it. I'm not against it. He's not going to be Cam Newton and get you 5 TDs, but he'll be steady for you. From the running backs, West and Ware continue to share the duties.
Dude, Spencer Ware scored in 3 straight games. And, he only had 26 yards last week on 7 carries. Yeah. But, he continues to get a chunk of that work.
I think, unfortunately, if there's one of these guys, they're probably, a definite start, whether it's West or Ware, but you take both of them. It's
probably still West, but...
Well, I'm saying if there was one job,
right,
there would be an automatic start, but there isn't. There's 2 jobs, and, the production gets cut in half. So, neither of these guys is an automatic start. If I had either of them, I would probably play them this week. The matchup is great. 20.8 points a game coughed up by the Chargers. They used to be 32nd. Now they're 29th, so they're getting a little bit better. Either way, I would play either of these guys. I just wouldn't play both of them. Jeremy Maclin is actually becoming almost a weekly start now. Last week he had 95 yards and 2 TDs. A week before, $160 and a touchdown. He has 18 catches over that 2-week span. So, looking at this matchup, not great. Chargers play good pass defense, apparently. Or maybe they're just so lousy against the run, people throw, who knows. Either way, I'm playing Jeremy Maclin, and I'm playing Travis Kelce as well.
Right. Redskins, Bears.
Hopefully you are too.
The do I have to? Bowl of 2015.
Cousins is playing pretty good.
He's not, actually.
Do tell.
That game against the Saints is still in that last 4. Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah, he's thrown a TD in every game since then. So the numbers are a little bit deceiving. Not going to recommend him. The running backs are average at best. Alf Morris, Matt Jones, both can do a little bit on the ground.
Again, if it was one guy.
Right. Maybe it would be okay. They got 1 TD between them in the last 4 games. None of them's cracked 100. I'm out. The receivers, okay, we can start Deshaun Jackson. He scored in 3 straight weeks. This is what he does. It's not a great matchup for him, but we can start him. And Jordan Reed, of course, is somebody we're going to start each and every week. From the Bears side, it ain't Cutler, right? Not playing him.
Right.
So here, we were really curious about what was going to go on with the running back situation here. And what do you know? Matt Forte comes back in and has a great game. 21 carries, 84 yards on the ground, has a TD there, caught 5 passes for 39 against San Francisco. So I think he's back in the must-start category. But what did this do to Jeremy Langford? Well, he still got the ball a little bit, but he didn't score. And he only had 59 yards. He had half the carries that Forte had, so roughly.
Well, if they're keeping him for the future, the guy you're paying a lot of money, use him up and keep Langford for next season.
So it just makes things really confusing for me when it comes to who to start. And, Kadeem Carey even got in and scored a touchdown last week. So the running back situation, very good for the Chicago Bears, very bad for the fantasy crowd. I think Forte's a must start. Langford is somebody we're going to have to think about now, because if he's going to get, 15 touches, that's going to start to scare me. Wide receivers.
What can be worse is if this week it's Langford who goes off. Then it becomes really unclear.
You're correct. Wide receivers. Alshon Jeffrey, is he a must start? That's my question. Double-digit targets last 2 games. We know what he can do. In a PPR, he's a definite play. But when it comes to a standard league, I think I would look elsewhere, man.
Dude hasn't had a touchdown since right after Halloween.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So I think I would move elsewhere for a standard league, but a PPR, I think he is definitely a must play. The tight end's even more confusing, right? We were all about Zach Miller because he's getting all these targets. He had 1 target last week.
Yeah.
Bennett is a guy who has been playing at a high level for a long time. He didn't do much and hasn't done much lately either. So if you're going to play one, I guess it's Miller. But please tell me you have a better option.
Yeah, please do. Falcons, Panthers, Matty Ryan. Remember back when the Falcons were 5-0 and setting the world on fire?
Yeah, well, they're 6-6 now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they are.
And they haven't won a game since October 25th.
Wow.
They have lost
That is
5 in a row.
Tanking.
That would be to Tampa Bay, Frisco, Indy, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay. Games they should have won.
Wow, Tampa swept them? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
So in that, Matty Ryan hasn't had a multiple touchdown game in 3 weeks.
Ew.
Yeah. I'm not really sure about Matty Ryan in this one. I mean, the Panthers
Bad
play
matchup.
really, really good defense. I would pine Matty this week. It's the playoffs. Names aren't going to get you points. Producers are going to get you points. If you have a better option, a more consistent option, I would roll with him. Devontae Freeman back last week. Good thing, too. Tevin Coleman wasn't doing anything. We were so excited, and then Freeman gives us 47 yards. But he did have 56 yards receiving. So, that's over 100. That's what you're after. He didn't get in the end zone, but, he remains a must-start. When he plays, you got to continue to play him. Matchup not great. Panthers are number 11 against fantasy running backs, but still, he led the league for a long time.
He did.
Rushing,
So he got hurt.
You got to play him.
Yeah.
Julio Jones is a must-start, of course. We were talking with Liz about Nick Williams. Justin Hardy is also a guy you might want to look at down the road because Roddy White's probably going to be gone next year. Pick up Justin Hardy now in a dynasty league. Plug him at the end of your bench.
Yep.
See if he matures. Jacob Tammy, you could probably have a better option there as well. Cam Newton is people are talking about this guy for MVP.
Well, I mean,
well they should.
With Brady struggling, right, and that offense being so beat up, Aaron Rodgers not playing the way he used to, dude, it might be Newton.
Now, I know it was New Orleans, but he did post 5 TDs on him and 331 yards.
Well, Kirk Cousins threw for 4 against him, so.
And Cam's just that much better. Guy's averaging 244 a game, 11 TDs and 1 pick in that last 4, and of course 5 of those were against one team. But, of course, you're going to play Cam. John Stewart, averaging 86 yards on the ground, 2 TDs in his last 4. Tasty matchup against the 28th ranked team against fantasy running backs. That would be the Falcons. So Jonathan Stewart, thumbs up there. I don't know about Ted Ginn. When you down him, he throws up a game.
Dude, I started him last week. You didn't agree with me. You were like, he plays better away. I was like, Teddy Ginn.
Yeah, and you know what? He proved me wrong.
Yeah,
so,
man.
By all means.
Couple TDs and 80 yards. I'll take it.
David Funches, our boy.
Yeah, Devin.
Devin Funches had a touchdown on 1 catch. It was 13 yards. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that. Jericho Cotchery, though, dude. You remember Furry Cotchery?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's back. No, he only had 26 yards last week, but he had a touchdown. 73 yards before that. If you're looking for a receiver for a flex or wide receiver 3 in this matchup, you can probably do pretty good. Greg Olson.
Yeah, he's
automatic start. 83 yards a game over his last 4.
Saints, Buccaneers, and Drew Brees is struggling of late. Obviously, he was a little bit better last week than he was in the game against Houston. Did throw 3 TDs against Carolina.
People are talking about Peyton and Brees gone next year.
Nah, Brees will be around. Peyton Manning I could see, but Brees ain't going nowhere.
That's the coach.
Oh, Sean Payton. Oh, I thought you were talking about Peyton Manning. I don't think Brees will be gone. Nah.
Oh.
Anyway, he's a guy you're going to play, obviously. Ingram is also a guy that I think you have to play.
Ingram hurt, I saw.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that he may not even play this week. I know he's not on the injury report, but he's got an issue.
Not only is he... Oh, dude, he's... Wow, okay.
Like so season ending almost.
He was placed on IR for shoulder.
Okay, yeah.
There's no information
I saw earlier
about
today that it was possible that he was going to be out the season. I didn't see it was a done deal.
Wow. That's a bummer. So he wasn't on the injury report. My bad. They don't typically do that for people that go to IR. It's for people that are on the team.
Right. Who have a shot at playing.
Yeah. So that's a real bummer because he actually, played fairly well last week. And like everybody was like, do we play him? We were like, we think you have to. He did score a touchdown in that game, but, obviously he's banged up. I did not see that. It's a bummer.
It worked out this way. Obviously I didn't see it coming, but I traded Brian Lyon, AJ Green for Mark Ingram. Yeah. Just about the time Ingram started to peak and go downhill. Yeah, so Brian's like, you bastard.
Oh, so he's pissed about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't really blame him there. I mean, that really. I traded for Cam Newton last year the week he went down with an injury. So that was kind of a bummer. So I guess maybe C.J. Spiller will step in and start doing
Hightower?
Tim Hightower, maybe.
I would just ignore the whole.
Yeah, I think you have to. Brandon Cooks is a guy that you can't ignore. We're going to play him each and every week. A guy had 104 yards and a touchdown against one of the best defenses in the NFL. He's pretty much matchup proof. I mean, all he has to do is get loose once, which is what he did.
And that's kind of what you count on with these guys.
Absolutely.
They target him 10 times, he catches 6, he busts a 54-yarder. Next thing you know, he's got a $104 and a touchdown.
Right. Benny Watson getting back involved last week, caught a TD too, so that makes that situation even more confusing. It's kind of a bummer, but if you're desperate at tight end, he's probably got a decent shot of catching another one.
That's some fine analysis.
The Buccaneers side, Kevin, Jameis Winston is a guy I'm totally playing against this defense this week. And daily, he would be an excellent DraftKings option. Would totally play him there. He's played well of late, and he runs the ball well. And this matchup's just too good. Doug Martin.
Who's rookie of the year? Is it him or is it Mariota?
It's close, I think.
I think it's real close.
I think it's real close, too. It's probably Winston, though. And I would have said Gurley 3 weeks ago.
Just based on the record, you think?
Yeah, and the way the team has just turned around, and he's played slightly better than Mariota.
More consistently better, yeah.
Well, he was really bad early in the season. But
both of them. Well, Mariota had a great first game, and then came to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I would have said Gurley 3 weeks ago.
I wouldn't have argued with you.
Yeah,
but if you said Gurley now, I'll tell you you're out of your damn mind.
Well, we'll see. A couple weeks left here. The Dugginator is on fire, and you're obviously going to play him in this excellent
Great
matchup.
Too. Good guy.
Yeah. So Mike Evans is a guy you absolutely have to play. Vinny Jackson, he doesn't catch enough passes for me to get super excited about him, but he is putting up decent yardage numbers. So maybe in a PPR flex spot, you can do that. But I really honestly think that you're stretching it if you're going to.
I think it's obvious that Evans is the man there, and he's being treated accordingly. But if you don't have Evans and you do have Jackson,
the tight ends, man, I really want to like ASJ, but really can't recommend until he gets back into the swing.
I kind of like him for next year.
Yeah. Looked good until he got hurt early in the season.
Indeed. Raiders Broncos. Derek Carr. You know what? I've doubted him in the past, and I've lived to regret it. He only had 283 yards, and he did have 3 picks this last week against KC in a losing effort. I still think the guy has plenty to offer you as a fantasy quarterback.
It ain't this week, though.
Against Tennessee, 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. And like Lyle says, this week's matchup against those number 1 Broncos. Yeah. But here's the thing. Broncos defensive backfield, a little banged up.
They are.
So, if Derek Carr has gotten you to this point, I wouldn't let this matchup scare me away. I would continue to roll him.
It scares me away.
Does it?
Yeah. It scares me away.
Well,
I'm allowed my opinion, Kevin.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have your opinion. I'm just saying your opinion's probably wrong. Well, Latavius Murray, 20 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown this last week. Caught 4 passes as well. It's a tough matchup. I'm not going to lie to you. But they're more giving, when I say they, I mean the Broncos, are more given to running backs, almost 16 points a game. So Latavius Murray gets a thumbs up out of me. Wide receivers, again, this is an awful matchup. Amari Cooper, averaging 67 yards, no TDs in his last 4, but Michael Crabtree has 2 in his last 4, but fewer yards. I'm not going to, if you've been playing Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, I'm not going to tell you to sit them because they're going to throw the ball. They're probably going to be behind. They're going to throw the ball, and these guys are going to be the 2 guys who are going to catch them. So I would definitely play either. If you have them, play them. Seth Roberts is a guy who, obviously he blew up a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, okay, well, that was just a one game kind of a wonder, and it kind of was. He caught 4 passes for 51 yards this last week, but he had 5 targets, almost the same amount as the week before. So he's in the passing game. I think in this matchup, you don't want to go stretching too far, but if you're looking at a guy who's going to be playing out of the slot or going to be the guy in motion, Seth Roberts probably has a decent shot at having a good game. I would put him in a flex.
Wow.
You gonna disagree with that?
Sort of.
That's okay.
In this terrible matchup, yeah.
You know what? That great banged up defensive backfield can't cover everybody. Just saying.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Brock Osweiler, Love watching the kid play. I think he's a quarterback of the future for the Broncos. I just wouldn't play him in the first round of the playoffs in 2015.
I don't disagree.
I'd go elsewhere. And you know what? This running back team, Anderson, Hillman, feeling pretty good about them last week. Not feeling good about them now. I mean, I had Hillman in the league. What did he get me? He got me, I think, under 10 points. He had 56 yards, didn't catch a pass. He had 19 carries, so he had plenty of opportunity to bust it out. C.J. Anderson, I heard he tweaked a body part, and he's not as healthy as he could be. He only had 42 yards. So you look at the matchup, then you go, well, it's a pretty good matchup. Raiders give up almost 17 points a game, or 17 on the nose. I'd look elsewhere. I have no trust in these guys.
Anderson did tweak an ankle and did not practice today.
There you have it. It's a body part, right?
And Hillman tweaked a foot and did not practice today. So
bastards, go elsewhere. All right, so last week we were like, Demaryius Thomas. So all he did was catch all of his targets, 6 for 6, for 61 yards and a touchdown. As soon as I saw him catch that touchdown, I'm like, we suck.
Well, I mean, he really hadn't done much.
61 yards and a touchdown ain't that great.
It ain't that great.
I've always been more of a Manny Sanders guy. He only had 19 yards last week. He's a guy I'm going to continue to play, though. Decent matchup. Raiders give up 20 points a game to fantasy receivers, so I'd play Demaryius or Emmanuel Sanders this week. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for them to score. Looking at the tight ends, Vernon Davis he's caught a bunch of passes for not many yards, and he's got a concussion. Who knows if he's going to play? I would look elsewhere for my tight end, other than Denver.
Right. Broncos. Cowboys, Packers. What would have been a big game in years past. Not so much anymore. Kevin.
It would have been a game if Romo was healthy, probably.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But he's not. So, and really, no one else is either. I mean, I guess Des Bryant's back. I think you have to play him. He's pretty much it though, because McFadden, he gets a lot of carries and stuff. But he doesn't do a lot with him, and he left the game the other night, concussion protocol and stuff. So, no word on how banged up he is. So you put Robert Turbin in? No, of course you don't. So forget about it. I would pine all of them. Bryant, I guess you have to play, but it's actually really close.
With Castle?
With Castle there. 7 targets last week, 62 yards. He can do damage, right? But, I think you have to sit him.
With being really the best player on the field, I'm shocked they don't just throw the ball at him more.
Just throw it up. I mean, they can't lose any more than they're already losing.
It's true.
Right? That's binary. So, yeah, go for it. Why not?
It's binary. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's either you win or you lose. So
1 or a 0, pal.
Right. Aaron Rodgers and the Pack, not a great matchup for him, but I would still play him.
Yeah, you're going to sit Aaron Rodgers?
I think you have to play Lacey.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. In this matchup, listen, man, I know that he hasn't been stellar lately.
Well, he missed a curfew and had 4 yards on 5
carries.
Right,
they pined him. I get it, but I think he comes back. He plays in this one, and it's a good matchup for him. So assuming he plays,
it could be the John Crockett show.
It could be. You never know. But I wouldn't trust him. For the receivers, man, I guess Devontae Adams is a guy that you should probably look at. But it's not like he's lighting the world on fire. Randall Cobb hasn't been lighting the world on fire. James Jones, who was a touchdown specialist earlier in the year, hasn't been doing it either. So really, there's not much to like out of any of them, Kevin. If you have one of them, I think it merits consideration for a flex, but they are playing the 6th-ranked fantasy defense against wide receivers. It's a consideration only.
Let's
None
put
of
it
them
this way.
Are auto starts for
I
me
pined Cobb for Macklin this week.
Right. Yeah. I don't blame you. Richard Rodgers, we were saying sit him. I mean, he had a decent game without the Hail Mary last week.
Yeah, he did.
So
it would have been like 6 catches, 80 yards.
Yeah, maybe PPR or something. We can throw him back in to the mix.
That's right. The Fantasy Football Guys brought to you tonight by Zevia, the 0-calorie, naturally sweetened soda that's clearly different.
No sugar, no calories, and non-GMO Project Verified make this a cleaner, healthier soda option.
Zevia is available in 15 delicioso flavors like cream soda, black cherry, cola, ginger ale, even a tonic water, always 0 calories. And did I mention they make great mixers?
Go to Zevia.com/podcast now because Zevia is giving away thousands of free six-packs.
Seriously, thousands have been won, and who knows, you could come home and find a surprise six-pack sitting on your doorstep.
Random but delicious. Kevin.
Head to Zevia.com/podcast to get yours at Zevia.com/podcast.
0 calories.
No sugar.
No artificial sweeteners.
And no caramel color. That's right, all Zevia sodas are now clear in color.
And 15 flavors, Kevin, and it takes a while to choose because they all rock.
They do. Find Zevia at a grocery store or natural food store nationwide and also on Amazon.com.
Go to Zevia.com to find a retailer near you.
And make sure you go to Zevia.com/podcast right after this show to have a chance to win a free six-pack, and you will dig it when you drink it.
A free sixer.
That's right. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. New England Patriots, the Houston Texans. Patriots are losers of 2 in a row. Only like the 5th time since Brady became the starter.
Yeah. And it's the only time that he's ever lost to the Eagles. And it was the only time the Eagles had ever intercepted him.
Wow, really?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, and it was a pick six. I know you love that phrase. It was an awesome pick six, too.
That's okay. The Eagles put a 30 burger on him.
What a miracle game that was.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that is going to stick out in lore. Anyway, Tom Brady, 301 yards, 9 TDs over his last 4. Yeah, the last couple haven't been great. Well, you look at last game, you go, well, Tom didn't do all that well. Dude had 312, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, they just
had a couple picks.
Most of it was in the second or the fourth quarter.
And he also ran one in. So say what you want about Tom. In a losing effort, he did put up points, and that's what you need. So, of course, you're going to play Tom Brady. This running back situation, when you think it's LeGarrette Blount, you're wrong.
It's James White
It's
now.
James White. So, I guess he's playing the role that Dion Lewis had. Receiving, the guy had 10 receptions for 115 yards, only ran the ball for 4 yards.
Yep.
So, if you're going to count on a PPR situation, James White is a guy I would put. If I had a PPR situation,
caught a touchdown too.
James White is a guy I would plug in there. LeGarrette Blount only situationally. Now, obviously, they're throwing the ball more than running it. Who knows if that's going to be the case in this game? But you can't trust LeGarrette Blount to do what he has been known to do, like I did. Damn it.
Right.
Anyway, so wide receivers, Danny Amendola back. Obviously, he's a huge target now. The guy had 13 targets, 7 catches, and did have a touchdown, only 62 yards. Amendola's a guy I'm going to play in a PPR. I'm going to play him all day long. LaFell, not so much. You mentioned Keyshawn Martin looking pretty good, and he did. He's a guy I would pick up in a dynasty league and throw on my bench. In fact, I did pick him up and put him on my bench. Scott Chandler has a tweaked knee. Obviously, Gronkowski is questionable with his knee.
I still think Chandler's a brilliant play this week. I mean,
if he plays, he's a good play.
Yeah.
And Rob Gronkowski earlier, was saying he was only going to miss a game. Well, he did. We'll see if he comes in this week. If he doesn't, Chandler obviously a good play there. From the Texans side, it's the Brian Hoyer show. He's only averaging 207 yards a game, 5 TDs over his last 3. I'm thinking you probably have a better option in the first round of the playoffs. Chris Polk actually had more carries last week than Blue did. Ugh. I'm not sure I like any of these guys.
Ugh.
The matchup's okay, but I really can't trust
There's
him.
one guy you can play.
You can trust DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
That's it. The guy's got 4 TDs over his last 4, 75 a game average over that span. So really, for the Texans, it's Hopkins, and that's about it.
Right. Giants, Dolphins, and talking about slim pickings for fantasy options. I'm not playing Eli. He puts some yards up, but he doesn't score enough for me and throws too many picks.
He does.
No thank you, even in this better-than-average matchup against the Dolphins. The running backs have an excellent matchup, but can you start any of them?
No.
No, you can't, so no thank you there. Wide receivers, okay, we'll start Odell Beckham. We'll play him. I'll just roll the dice there.
Yeah.
But
going on that limb.
Really don't like. I mean, it's a great matchup, but I really don't like Ruben Randle that much. Don't like Dwayne Harris that much. Victor Cruz is never coming back.
Apparently not.
So tight ends, I'm not.
So you shimmied out on that limb with Beckham.
Yeah, so I'm just going to roll the dice that I'm playing that 1-year wonder, Odell Beckham. From the Dolphins side, I'll tell you what, man. I want some of this action against this 29th ranked Giants defense. I want to play Ryan Tannehill very badly in this matchup. Only averaging 211 over his last 4 games. Does have 8 touchdowns in that span. I think he'll put up another 3 this week. Love him. Lamar Miller against this 22nd ranked Giants defense against fantasy running backs. Guess what? Playing him.
Love it.
Gets too involved in the game to even consider sitting him, and he's just this matchup's just too tasty. Got to play him. The receivers, it's been the Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry show. I think it continues to be that this week. Matthew's still questionable with those ribs. So I think that, Devontae Parker scored 2 weeks in a row. Really like what he's doing. Landry, didn't do much last week, but the week before against the Jets, he put up $165 and a touchdown on 13 catches, 16 targets in that game. He's a guy that you absolutely have to play without question.
And in PPR, it makes it even tastier.
It does. The tight ends I wouldn't touch, even though I think Jordan Cameron's an excellent tight end. So that's it. And those be your games, bitches.
They do indeed be those games.
Wow.
Let's get to the questions. We have a boatload to get to.
We do.
And as soon as I can get to them, I'll give them to you.
Well, I can go with one right now. I
By
have
all
one
means.
queued up. Do-Rock says, word up, moderately useful homies. Backed into the playoffs in the Money League following a 4-game losing streak. I feel like the Falcons. Well, don't, because they're going to miss the playoffs. You got in, pal. 1 running back and a flex in a half PPR. He's got Rawls and Gurley in. Do you swap out Rawls or Gurley for any of these people, Kevin? Landry, Demaryius Thomas, Riddick, Gore, or Hillman? I know you're looking at Landry. It's a half PPR. You going to take Gurley out? You just said you would.
If you have a better option.
Landry?
I'm thinking.
Demaryius Thomas?
Yeah, I would probably play Demaryius there.
I stand pat. I go Rawls Gurley. I stand pat.
Well, that's fine. Gurley hasn't been doing it.
I don't know.
I'll take Demaryius against that tasty Oakland matchup.
Okay. Split decision there, buddy. Sorry. Other league, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and it's a PPR return yards and no flex. He's got Landry, Bryant, and Amendola going. He's got Floyd, Hearns, and Lockett on the pine. Man, do you play Hearns over Amendola? He gets return yards, remember.
He does.
So I think that probably moves Amendola ahead.
Yeah,
Plus
I think
it's a
that'd
PPR.
probably be true. You know what? But dude, Lockett's in there too.
Yeah, he is. I think it's still Amendola because it's a PPR.
Well, I'm looking at Landry at this point.
You going to take Landry out for Lockett?
I don't want to.
Landry gets return yards too, right?
I don't think he doesn't return any.
Well, I thought he did. Yeah, he does.
Well,
I think he does. Let me effort that. I've seen him return punts before. I'm not sure if it's.
yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't or hasn't. I just don't think he does it with the regularity that Lockett does.
Well, yeah, Lockett is their guy. He does do it. I mean, he's got 1 punt return in the past 3 games and 2 kickoff returns, and that was 2 games ago.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that merits.
But
it.
I mean, not many yards to speak of out of that. So I still think it's Amendola.
You know what? I can make a case for Hearns against any of these guys, but I think the way he's got it is probably the way I'd keep it.
I might swap out Landry for Hearns because he's not getting many. I think I'm playing Hearns over Landry.
I don't hate it.
I'm playing Hearns over Landry.
Wow.
His running backs are McFadden and C.J. Anderson. DeMarco Murray versus Buffalo. Yes, he's droppable. Drawn at Cleveland. James White at Houston. I would bench McFadden for pretty much anybody on that list.
Probably White since it's a full point PPR.
I might go Drawn. At Cleveland, it's just such a great matchup.
Full point PPR.
Okay. James White has 1 game of data, and that was against the Eagles.
And tell me about what Sean Drawn's done.
I mean, he scored a touchdown last week.
Ooh, nice.
I played Drawn. I certainly am benching McFadden.
Well, C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, if he's healthy, I think I'd probably roll him over the rest of these guys.
I'm going to find a way to put James White in here.
Okay.
You want to play Drawn against over McFadden? That's fine.
Yeah. Another split decision, buddy.
It happens.
P.S. Apparently you can put quote-unquote sexy cosplay on pretty much any search term and get results. Witness, and it is a sexy creeper. from Minecraft.
And now I feel like a creeper.
Yeah, buddy, that's
Not sexy, though.
Rule 34, pal.
T-Bone Nation says, playoff time. Thanks, I wouldn't be here without your and the forum's opinions on lineups and trade offers. Well, we all do what we can for everybody here.
Yep, that's true.
12-team PPR, quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense, so no flex in there. Who do I start for my running backs? He's got Rawls at Baltimore, Murray at Buffalo, Matthews if he plays against Buffalo, Lacey at Dallas, and Blunt against Houston. So he needs 2 running backs.
Oh.
It's going to be Lacey and Rawls from me.
Yeah, I guess it has to be. Really? You're not playing Blunt over Lacey?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll go with that.
Who do I start for my wide receiver 3? Evans at New Orleans, Crabtree at Denver. The only reason I'm considering Crabtree is Denver's D is banged up.
I totally hear you, man, but there's not a chance I would bench Evans against New Orleans.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, I love Crabtree, and I
Me
love
too.
what he's been doing, but
Yep.
Evans is, he could have double-digit catches.
He could have double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah, he could.
It's that
Well,
defense, I know.
true.
It's funny. William says, hey, guys, long-time listener. Despite your advice, I managed to make the playoffs.
Nice.
Got 2 questions for you in a 12-team peeper. Bortles or Rivers this week?
Bortles.
I'm playing Bortles, too. Pick 2 to flex. Gio at Pitt. Richard Rodgers, I guess, at Dallas. Kendall Wright at New York Jets. Diggs at Arizona. And Aiken at Seattle. Then rolling Aiken and Gio since Diggs has been terrible, but neither are appealing this week. They're not.
This is what we call a stack of mediocrity.
It's a stack of crap. Gio's playing the number 1 defense against running backs. Aiken's playing, the number 1 defense against wide receivers. Diggs has been bad in a bad matchup. Kendall Wright is virtually non-existent. Richard Rodgers, good God, man.
You know what? I'll play Rodgers and Aiken. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I have to pick 2.
Yeah.
And those are 2 of them. It's not right.
I think I would play Diggs and Gio.
Okay.
Because
you know what? That's fine.
I'm just looking for upside.
Yeah. I mean, Pittsburgh is really good against running backs, so not digging that.
Me either.
Rodgers, even without the Hail Mary, had a decent game, 14 points.
Tight end in your flex just feels so gross.
It does.
Though.
I need to take a shower after that. But
it is a PPR. You know what? I'll go with Diggs and Rodgers. I think at PPR I might be able to get away with it. All right.
Yeah, it's not good. All right. VTech0101 says, hey, guys, quick question about who to start at flex. It's a PPR. Do I roll with Hearns, Jeremy Hill, Langford, or Marvin Jones?
Hearns for me, pal.
I go Hearns. In a PPR,
listen, man, this 2 weeks ago, no question you'd be starting Langford, but I don't know what's going to go on in that friggin' backfield now. So
Hearns has a huge possibility.
When he's healthy, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think you play him.
Right.
So this guy, Ryan, says he sent Kevin a Twitter message on Tuesday, and he asked me to email this dandy in.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I said, hey, we'll do that on the show.
I'm Ryan from Canada. I called in before the season started with one of the longest calls in the show's history. Cool.
Right.
I'm in a 14-team IDP PPR. QB completions are worth a full point.
Hence the question. Well, I wanted to put that on here. We don't get that much.
PPR is also a full point. Need to start quarterback between Cutler at home against Washington, Tyrod on the home against your team, Jameis at home against the Aints. There's not a question in my mind I'd play Jameis.
Yeah, you would.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Tyrod's close.
It is a good matchup for him.
I think I know who I want to start. However, I'm emotionally invested because I play my older brother for family bragging rights, and an outside mediocre opinion such as yours may sway me into making a decision. I have Mike Evans for the double up at Winston.
Love it.
But looking ahead a few weeks ago, I picked up Chandler, and I have Jordan Reed. This is important because he has Brady and Cousins. Their respective red zone targets. I'm sure he will play Brady. So the other question is Chandler or Reed, or play the tight end of his starting QB. If you sway me to choose wisely, I will in turn send you some real beer from here in the Great White North. Some 5% beauty stuff.
All right.
Okay. So here's the thing, buddy. I think you're getting a little bit cute trying to take away his end zone targets. But the thing is, you have 2 good tight ends. So it wouldn't bother me at all for you to play Chandler. If he plays Brady, fine. If he doesn't play Brady, whatever. So if you want to play Chandler, play Chandler. If you want to play Jordan Reed, play Jordan Reed. They're both good. They're both toss-ups in my mind. Assuming Gronk doesn't play and Chandler's not banged up, I think he's an awesome play this week. So I would definitely play him.
But Jameis is the definite.
Jameis is the again. You have to start any quarterback you can against that New Orleans defense. You have to.
It's absolutely true.
You have to. So
you owe it to yourself, man.
Yeah. Says, choose wisely, my friends. Actually, I know you both will say different QBs before this thing even airs. No, we didn't. We agreed. Thanks a ton. Merry Christmas, because I'm old school like that. Love this show.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, dude.
Blueberry says, hi, guys. 14-team Peeper. Pick 3 wide receivers. E. Sanders, Hearns, Devontae Parker, and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I would say Lockett.
Yeah, I would too. He's starting to,
He's emerging.
He's taking more of the offense.
Got him in the Dynasty League, too.
Yeah, you got to love that.
I drafted him in the last round. Everybody slept on him.
Also, pick my RB2. West or Hill?
I think it's still West for now.
Hill's been performing lately better than West. But
I'd play West.
Well, I like him because it's a PPR. I'll take West as well. Thanks for the way funnier than a coin flip advice. That could be worse. You all right over there?
Excuse me, choking a little bit.
That's fine.
Yeah, no good. David says, or Dave, sorry, pick 2 in a PPR. He's in the playoffs.
Cool.
McFadden, West, Gore, or Spencer Ware?
Sitting Gore, sitting McFadden, playing West and Ware.
Me too.
God.
I'm playing them.
You're going to play both of them.
I am. I'm playing them both. I'm not playing McFadden.
No, I'm
not. And I'm not playing Gore. I'm playing West and Ware. Also, Larry Fitz or Mike Evans. Here's the thing, dude. I think you have to play Fitzgerald, but against New Orleans?
Do you? Do you have to play Fitzgerald?
Remember when we benched him against freaking Seattle?
Yeah.
How do you sit the dude?
I don't know.
You know what? He's hurt a little bit. I think he's questionable. Maybe he won't play, and you won't have to make this decision.
Yeah, dude. Mike Evans in a PPR against New Orleans? Come on.
All right, Fitzgerald has not scored a touchdown in his past 4 games, but he does have 36 catches in those games.
In how many games?
4.
He has 36 catches in 4 games. How many does Evans have in 4 games?
Let me see.
Yeah, this is one of those tough ones. It's like, don't you have another
22?
But he scored touchdowns.
Yeah, he scored in 2 of those games.
So that kind of evens it out.
Fitz's yardage numbers are better. They're pretty close, actually. All right, I think I can get away with playing Evans here.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a real close, man.
Love Fitz, but the matchup just throws it all towards Evans. Methinks.
That is a rough go.
Good God, you got to go to the forum to look at number 5.
Okay, I'm on my way there.
He says, I got a bye week this week, so we'll leave your time to those in need this week. Good job, fellas.
Oh.
And puts a picture of a soccer fan, it looks like.
Oh.
Looking at the jersey behind.
I didn't see anything behind.
Yeah, she's talented, shall we say.
Yes, up front.
SJ Daily 12 says, hey guys, it's been a good ride to the playoffs, and now it's time for some real stress. I need help making choices for my wide receiver positions. I need 2 from Julio Jones, Roddy White, Nate Washington, and Brian Hartline. As always, enjoy the show. Stay sweet. Well, we do it for you, man.
It's a PPR. I might play Julio Jones is obvious. I might play Brian Hartline if it's a PPR.
Ooh. Yeah, you know what? The dude does catch some passes, but I'm not going to play Roddy White.
No, and I'm not really excited about Nate Washington.
Not anymore, no. So, yeah, Jones and Hartline.
Yeah.
And squint when you put Hartline in because it doesn't happen a lot.
Right. Garrett from Texas says, hey, guys, 2 quick questions for you. Wide receiver 2 in my friends league, Amendola or Martavis Bryant?
I got to play Bryant.
Me too. Also, RB2 in my work league, Langford versus Washington or Ingram at Tampa. Ingram was put on IR.
It's Langford.
Unfortunately, yeah, so it's Langford. Thanks as always, and best of luck in the first round, boys.
Well,
I'm not in any first rounds.
You're in the losers bracket. You can still walk out of the league.
Oh, I'm going to try to play. Yeah.
Orange Crust says, hey guys, de facto playoff game for me this week. Win or it's the consolation bracket. And need help on my wide receivers. Pick 3 half-point PPR. He's got Crabtree, Macklin, Diggs, Lockett, and Devontae Parker.
Pick 3.
I'm going to sit Diggs and Lockett. Play Parker, Crabtree, and Macklin.
Agreed.
Wow.
Yeah.
He says he's leaning Krabby, Macklin, and Parker. That's kind of what we just did, isn't it?
That's exactly what we just did.
But the Denver D scares me, and who knows about Parker. Lockett is maybe because I get some return yard points, but not
that
at all.
That kind of does
sure
change things a little bit for me. I might play Lockett over at Crabtree now. If he gets return yards,
that changes it a little bit.
It does.
Right? So, yeah, there you go. Lockett, Macklin, Parker.
There you go.
I don't mind that. And would you start Barnidge at Frisco or Jordan Reed at Chicago?
Yes. They're both awesome, man.
Did I see Barnidge on the injury report?
He is questionable, yeah.
Yeah, so if he plays, I'd roll him.
I probably would, too. Check and see if he practiced today.
I mean, Jordan Reed is plenty good.
Not listed.
And the
so
matchup is okay. So
yeah, they're both awesome. I think you're right, though, Kevin. I think if Barnidge is there, you play him.
Yep.
He's too good to sit. Todd says, hey guys, you always lead me down the right path with FF advice, and I have another question for you. I'm heading into the second week of our first round playoff with a 20-point lead. A lot of leagues do that. They have a two game first round.
Yeah.
I've been offered Antonio Brown in exchange for Martavis Bryant and either Eifert or John Brown. I want to take it, but I'm second guessing myself. The rest of my team is this. So the Bortles, D. Will, Gurley, OBJ, Barnidge, Hauschka, Vikes D, CJ Anderson, Yeldon, Bernard, Sproles, and Tannehill. I say hell yeah, because you have Barnidge. You know?
Yeah, give up Eifert, play
Dude,
Barnidge.
for the best wide receiver in the game? I mean, arguably.
He's the best wide receiver in the game when Big Ben's in there, and Big Ben's in there, so...
Yeah.
Whatever you got to do to get Brown. Yeah. I mean, you're giving up, the number 2 wide receiver there in Pittsburgh to get the number 1.
And a really, really good tight end coming off of injury.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would pull that trigger.
I think I would, too. Yeah, I think that's a definite. I am out of emails, Kevin. Oh, no, I got one more.
You do have one more. Auto Drafter says, Kevin and Lyle, after weeks of mismanagement, need help, please. All league standard. 2 running backs, Ivory at Tennessee, Gore at Jacksonville, Hillman at Oakland. Sit one of those.
I'd sit Gore. I mean, the thing is, his ceiling is so mediocre. I'd roll the dice on Hillman doing something.
It can happen. 3 wide receivers, Green at Pitt, Hearns at Jacks, Cooper at Denver, Macklin at San Diego, T. Benj at San Francisco, and LaFell at Houston.
I would play...
So for me, LaFell and Benjamin are out.
They're out. I would play Hearns. Actually, I might play Travis Benjamin. I would play Hearns, Macklin, and Benjamin. Cooper at Denver just scares me, and he hasn't produced...
A.J. Green at Pittsburgh.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Hearns is 2.
Yeah, you're right, dude. You're right.
Macklin is 3.
You're right. I forgot about A.J. Green.
I'm sitting there going, you're going to sit A.J. Green to play Travis Benjamin?
My bad, yeah.
The hell out of here. Other league, 2 running backs, Ivory, D. Will, Buck Allen, Jeremy Hill.
And David Johnson.
So,
well, D. Will's certain.
And Buck Allen, well, that matchup's scary. But you know what, dude? In the passing game, he's so huge in that.
Ivory's there, though.
Ivory is there.
I think I play Ivory and D. Will, just because of the matchups.
I don't hate it. I would want to put... we can put Buck Allen in the flex. Okay, 1 wide receiver, Crabtree, Hilton. He's got Hopkins already. Dude, the quarterback situation.
I think you have to play. You have to play Crabtree.
You do, and I would flex Buck Allen.
No love for David Johnson, huh? You were all about starting him last week.
Different week, man.
All right, yeah, I'll go Buck Allen too.
And Barnidge or Reed.
We just had this question.
So
Barnidge.
Barnidge if he goes.
One last email, Kevin. Drew says, "Sup, fellas, 12 team Peeper, Fitz or Ty God." Do you play Taylor against the Eagles, or do you roll with the hot hand of the beard?
I got to play Fitz.
I got to play Fitz, too.
Playing Fitz?
I got to play him. Pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex. Beckham, Amari Cooper, John Brown, Travis Benjamin. are the wide receivers. So Beckham and John Brown are certain for me.
He's got Devontae Parker down there, too.
Well, we got flexes. Beckham and John Brown are certain. Brown is beat up a little bit, so keep an eye on that situation.
Yeah.
Running backs from Shady, Ingram, Gurley, Rawls, and David Johnson, C.J. Anderson. So I can tell you right now, the
Shady.
Yeah, right. Shady's going, Rawls is going, and Gurley's going for me in my flex.
Right.
We have one other flex, though, Kevin.
Yes, we do.
So Ingram is down, but we have David Johnson or Devontae Parker. It's actually kind of tough.
It is a little tough, right? Because Johnson had a good showing last week. Parker, I'll play David Johnson there.
Yeah, he did run for
99, I think.
99 yards against St. Louis. It's not a great matchup against the Vikings, but okay, I'm going to go David Johnson as well. Okay, he says, for sure rolling Shady, Johnson, Rawls, and Beckham, but Cooper has screwed me before. Brown is up and down, and Benjamin has a Manziel problem. I love Gurley, but he has to play for St. Louis. Ingram's got a shoulder, and now he's done.
Yeah.
CJ has an ankle, plus he's is the roller coaster of running backs. That's funny. Trying to repeat in a tough-to-repeat format. For sure, donation if I do. Well, thank you very much. We do accept.
We appreciate that.
Donation.
Irish Badger says, hey, guys, here's the same question as last week. Pick one for wide receiver, tight end, flex spot, and half PPR. John Brown, Deshaun Jackson, Teal Julius.
Pick one?
Pick one for the flex.
I think you have to play John Brown if he's not questionable. If not, man, I might roll Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
there's a lot of weapons in freaking
Arizona, yeah.
I was going to say Jacksonville for Julius. So he could disappear in the offense.
I just took him out of the conversation.
Yeah. So I would play Brown if he plays. If not, I'd roll Deshaun Jackson.
Concur. Darton Dave says, I'm verklempt. Just lost my stud. Ingram going into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Who should I pick up and start out of this wire pile? Non-PPR. DeMarco Murray's on his bench.
Ugh.
Matty Jones, Charles Sims, Tonio Andrews, Theo Mojo Finger, Darren Sproles, Rashad Jennings.
Honestly, I'd play Andrews.
Really?
You going to play Matt Jones or DeMarco Murray? Those are the only really two options.
Well, man, Sproles had a hundy this last week.
Yeah, but I'm not playing a freaking Eagle, dude. I'm not doing it.
Well, you know what? I think one of the things we do is because of our emotional attachment to the Eagles, we say sit him. But, if he's going to take this kind of carries going forward.
But we don't know that. Plus, Matthews might be back.
Yeah.
Which completely eliminates his role.
All right, so you said, I don't know, I can't do Andrews. Can I? Can I actually say Andrews?
I mean, the guy is
awful is the word you're looking for. He's terrible.
He's not terrible. He's got a terrible matchup, though.
How about Matt Jones?
He did score last week, Antonio Andrews did.
Yeah.
He averaged 4.5 against Jacksonville. I mean, I'm not playing Matt Jones, dude. I'm not playing a Redskins running back.
Can't play Riddick.
Definitely not DeMarco Murray.
Not Rashad Jennings.
Right. So it's
how's Charlie Sims looking?
I mean, he is playing, the freaking
New Orleans,
the Saints. Yeah. So, but
you know what? I'd play Charlie Sims.
The thing is, the guy's got 26 carries in his last. I mean, he does catch a few passes occasionally, but last week he had 56 yards.
You talking about Sims?
Yeah.
I'll take the matchup. I'll take Sims. To me, it's just as much of a dice roll as playing Andrews.
Fine. So I'm not going to argue with you.
Are You Serious says, hey guys, playoff dilemma. I'm lucky enough to be able to play either Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson this weekend. Normally would be a no-brainer, but Russell Wilson has a tastier matchup. Do I bench Aaron Rodgers this week?
I wouldn't.
For Russell Wilson?
I wouldn't. Wilson's had a good couple weeks, but AA Ron is still AA Ron.
Yeah.
I would play Aaron Rodgers.
As much as I'd like to sit here and tell you that I'm going to sit Aaron Rodgers, there's no way in hell I'm going to sit Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't think you can afford to.
I don't think so either. All right, so I guess that's the questions in the show.
That's it, buddy.
Bitches. Let's be honest. Santa's lazy. Dude works about one night a year, right?
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. If you buy your loved ones a sock subscription for a foot cardigan, Santa's fat ass will get a serious workout.
Because he'll be delivering amazing socks to your favorite person's mailbox every month.
A subscription to Foot Cardigan will get your favorite person one amazing pair of whimsical socks delivered to their mailbox every month.
Yeah, you heard that right. They'll remember your awesome gift every month for as long as you want them to.
Month to month or 3, 6, 9, even 12-month prepaid subscriptions are available.
The gift that keeps on giving until it stops.
Get 10% off any Foot Cardigan subscription by going to footcardigan.com and entering promo code FANTASY during checkout.
And your favorite person will be reminded how amazing you are every single month.
Footcardigan.com, promo code FANTASY.
Get some of them socks.
Yo, I got one.
Let's ride.
For Jeff.
Yeah, I'm feeling it's going to be happening in my house, too. It felt a little weird tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why? You know what? Well, I wasn't drinking.
Well, plus we got started late.
Yeah.
And I had to rush home.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. No beers in me. I needs me spinach.
Would that if you're Popeye, would that make me
Brutus.
Brutus?
Yeah. No, you're olive oil, baby.
Nice. I feel more brutish.
Yeah.
Brutus-ish.
Yeah, you are.
Anyway. All right, bitches, we'll be out until Saturday. We'll be back at 11 o'clock in the a.m. Eastern time, of course, where you can call in, do your thing.
Get your playoff questions answered.
Right. We'll do it as long, about an hour and a half is where we start getting antsy.
Yeah.
'Cause
we don't get a break.
We don't.
Well,
you take breaks. You hit the can over
if
there.
I have to pee.
Dude, if I had to pee, we'd have problems.
Well, you've had to do it before.
I know. Well,
you just have to, not knock anything over. You guys can't see this, but there's a bunch of equipment that way. Like there's lights and this gigantic tripod with the camera on it.
Yeah, it's all have
So,
plus
there's
desks,
wires everywhere. Yeah, it's just like
I wouldn't trust myself to be able to navigate that properly.
Kevin be nimble, Kevin be quick.
By the way, you got your hand right there on that disc. You see what that is?
Grand Theft Auto, the original.
The original Grand Theft Auto,
Dude,
top scroller.
This is a great game.
I was cleaning up in here and I found that. And I was like, you know what? That's nostalgia right there.
Yeah.
The original Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. I wonder if it would run on any system.
I don't know, man.
It certainly wouldn't run on a Mac.
It's not going to run on a Mac, but
you could probably find a ROM of it or something though online.
Probably.
There's probably a website where you can play it.
No doubt. But I saw that and was like, you know what, that is, and I remember getting it, and people were like, this is an awful game. It's murder and mayhem and prostitutes and
great game.
Adultery, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to have it as soon as it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And there it
is. Oh yeah,
right
I
there.
remember when it was. You played it with the arrow keys and drove the cars around and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
And you know what?
Awesome game.
Wasted was already there then.
Yeah, it was.
All right, bitches, we're out. We're gonna see if we can find that game to play. Anyway, something
to play it.
I'm gonna go play GTA 5 again. I'm running through the story mode for the fourth time.
You're still doing it.
I dig it. I like it.
It is fun.
Well, I just got myself an Xbox One, so I'm playing it on that.
Right.
Because generally I try to be a billionaire at the end of it.
Right.
With all three guys.
Right.
That's how I roll.
Just mad loot.
All right, bitches, check you Saturday. Have a good one.
Peace out. We got time.
See ya.